you ever see one of those moments online that's so quick, so ordinary, but somehow it explodes into chaos? Like 6 seconds of footage and suddenly it's front page news, think pieces, memes, and people drawing wild conclusions? That's exactly what's happened here, because what started as a simple on-stage hug between Erika Kirk and Vice President JD Vance has officially turned into the political scandal no one saw coming. Screenshots, slow-mo clips, conspiracy threads. People are acting like this hug is proof of some secret relationship, like it's part of a political love story straight out of a Netflix drama. And after staying silent for days, Erika Kirk has finally spoken out, not through her PR team, not through a carefully worded statement, but in her own words. And what she said completely changes how people are seeing this whole story. Because if you strip away the noise, the outrage, and the clickbait, this isn't just about a hug. It's about grief, power, and the way we treat women in the spotlight. Let's get into it. So here's what actually happened. It was October 29th, Turning Point USA's latest event. One of those packed, patriotic, high-energy rallies the group is known for. Erika Kirk walked out on stage, confident but composed, to introduce Vice President JD Vance. Remember, Erika isn't just anyone in that space. She's Charlie Kirk's widow, the late founder of Turning Point USA, and she's been carrying his legacy ever since his tragic passing earlier this year. So when she steps up to the mic, the room is silent, and she says something that instantly catches everyone off guard. "No one will ever replace my husband, but I do see some similarities between my husband and JD Vance." The crowd applauds. It's emotional, heartfelt, even spiritual. You can tell she's drawing a connection, not romantic, but symbolic. Strength, leadership, faith. But of course, the internet doesn't do context. JD Vance walks out, the crowd cheers, and the two share a quick embrace, maybe 2 or 3 seconds tops. It's friendly, supportive, professional, except someone screenshots it mid-hug, her hand resting on the back of his head, and suddenly it looks intimate. Freeze frame it, crop it, slow it down, and you've got yourself a scandal. That one hug becomes a wildfire. Within hours, Erika Kirk and JD Vance are trending across Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Now, if you've been online long enough, you could predict what happened next. Half the internet went into detective mode. The other half started making memes. On X, formerly Twitter, conservative commentators argued it was a wholesome Christian hug. Others said, no, that's too close. That's not just friendly. Meanwhile, liberal accounts mocked the hypocrisy. The family values crowd suddenly outraged over a hug. And then came the body language experts. You know the type, pausing every frame, narrating like it's a fight breakdown. See the hand placement here? That indicates emotional familiarity. Notice the eye contact? There's tension there. Come on. TikTok was even worse. Edits with dramatic music, voiceovers saying things like, "No way this is just a hug." People started making fake movie posters with the caption, 2028 power couple loading. Someone even joked, if this was Kamala Harris hugging Gavin Newsom, Fox News would have called for an investigation. The clip racked up millions of views in less than 24 hours. Every outlet, from People magazine to India Today, started covering it. And within days, it wasn't just a meme. It was a full-blown narrative. When things get this viral, mainstream media always jumps in to try and clarify. So People magazine ran a headline, JD Vance and Erika Kirk hug goes viral, but there's more context than viewers think. India Today and Times of India both published nearly identical articles. No evidence of romantic connection between VP JD Vance and Erika Kirk. They even quoted attendees who said it was nothing more than a warm moment of respect. But by the time those fact checks hit, it didn't matter. The still image had already replaced the truth. Because online, perception is reality. And Erika's silence? That made things worse. Every hour she didn't speak, the comments got louder. People started twisting it. She's hiding something. If it was innocent, why not address it? And finally, a few days later, she did. 3 days after the event, Erika went live on her Instagram. No lighting setup, no glam, just her sitting in what looked like her home office, quiet and composed. You could tell she didn't want to do it. Her tone was tired, not angry, just done. She starts off by saying, "I've seen the clips. I've seen the photos. I know what people are saying." And then she cuts straight to the point. "JD and I are friends. That's it. He's been a source of strength and guidance during a really difficult season in my life." That hug wasn't romantic. It was respect. She takes a long pause, looks off camera for a second, and then adds, "When you lose someone in front of the whole world, people forget you're still human." That line, "people forget you're still human," hit hard. You could literally feel the comment section shift in real time. People who were making jokes started apologizing. Fans flooded the chat with messages like, "You don't owe anyone an explanation. People forget you're grieving. Charlie would be proud of your strength." Then she explained something no one really knew, that JD Vance was one of the first public figures to reach out after Charlie's death. He'd reportedly checked in, offered help with Turning Point operations, and even helped connect her with advisors. It wasn't chemistry, it was compassion. By the next morning, clips from her live were circulating with captions like, "She handled that with grace." The entire tone of the internet flipped, from judgment to empathy. This part is where it gets deep, because Erika's not just any widow. She's the widow of Charlie Kirk, one of the most polarizing figures in American politics. Charlie built Turning Point USA from the ground up. Rallies, media presence, millions of young followers. And when he died, that legacy didn't disappear. It fell on her shoulders. So she's not just mourning privately, she's mourning publicly while trying to keep her husband's vision alive. That's an impossible balancing act. Think about it. Every time she smiles, people say she's moved on. If she's serious, she's playing the widow role. If she works too hard, she's using his death for attention. No matter what she does, the internet finds a way to twist it. And that's what makes her response so raw. Because she didn't get defensive. She didn't attack the trolls. She just said, "I'm human. Let me breathe." That's not just a statement. That's a cry for space in a world that never stops watching. Now let's talk about JD Vance. The guy's in a tricky spot. He's the vice president, meaning every move he makes is political currency. And just days before the hug went viral, he'd already sparked a separate controversy. Remember his comment about hoping his Hindu wife might convert to Christianity? Yeah, that one caused outrage on both sides. So when the hug clip dropped, it layered right on top of that, creating a perfect storm of speculation. And JD, he stayed completely silent. No tweet, no statement, no press clarification. Nothing. Instead, his team quietly let it fade, which, honestly, was a smart play. Because if you actually watch the full footage, he doesn't do anything questionable. He hugs Erika politely, steps back, adjusts his jacket, smiles, and starts speaking. Professional, composed. No weird tension, no lingering eye contact, just a moment blown out of proportion. But that's politics in 2025. Optics matter more than actions, and even a harmless moment can ripple into a nationwide headline. Now let's zoom out for a second. This whole saga actually reveals a bigger shift happening inside Turning Point USA. Charlie Kirk was the movement's heartbeat. He had the charisma, the controversy, the media energy. When he passed, people wondered if the organization would collapse. But Erika's leadership has actually kept it alive and even given it a new tone. Less firebrand, more faith-based. Less chaos, more compassion. She's still talking about conservative values, but she's framing them through grace, loss, and purpose. And that's connecting with a different audience. So when she said JD Vance reminds her of Charlie, maybe that wasn't about personality. Maybe it was about leadership style, someone who shares that same mission to guide the conservative movement's next generation. And that's where the deeper symbolism of that hug lies. It wasn't romance. It was legacy meeting future. Charlie's foundation colliding with JD's ambition. Let's be honest, part of the reason this blew up is because Erika's a woman. When men show emotion publicly, it's seen as strength. When women do it, it's unprofessional. When men show empathy, it's leadership. When women show it, it's flirtation. That's why the still image of her hand on JD's head hit differently online. It played into people's subconscious biases. Had the roles been reversed, if a male speaker comforted a grieving female politician, it probably would have been called chivalrous. Instead, people sexualized compassion. And that says a lot more about society than it does about Erika Kirk. Since breaking her silence, Erika's been back to doing what she does best. Leading. She's spoken at 2 more events since then, with audiences even larger than before. And you can tell, she's learned from the chaos. Her tone is firmer now. She's not shying away from emotion, but she's also not letting the internet define her. In one of her more recent speeches, she said something that felt like a message to the trolls without ever naming them. Faith means standing tall when others misunderstand you. It's subtle, but powerful. And honestly, it's the perfect summary of her whole situation. She's walking a line between grief and growth, and she's doing it in full public view. Now let's take a step back and talk about why stories like this blow up in the first place. It's because social media doesn't reward truth. It rewards reaction. We've trained ourselves to see moments like this: hugs, glances, handshakes, not as human interaction, but as content. The internet doesn't want facts. It wants friction. Like Joe Rogan once said, if you're famous, everything you do is content. You can't just be genuine anymore. Every facial twitch becomes a statement. And he's right. We've turned politics into reality TV. Every gesture gets dissected. Every clip gets monetized. And in that world, empathy doesn't trend. Controversy does. So now that Erika's spoken, what happens next? Honestly, probably nothing dramatic. And that's the point. She said her piece. She clarified the truth. And she reminded everyone that behind every viral moment is a human being. The internet will move on to its next obsession. But for her, this is part of a bigger story. A story of resilience, of learning to lead while still healing. And maybe that's what people should really take away from all this. Sometimes, grace looks like choosing peace over pettiness. So yeah, Erika Kirk has finally broken her silence, and her truth cuts through all the noise. No secret affair, no drama. Just humanity in a world that's forgotten what that looks like. But what do you think? Was the internet completely out of line? Or was this bound to happen in the social media age? Drop your thoughts below. I'll be reading every single one. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button, subscribe to Celebrity Corner, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss the next upload. Until next time, stay smart, stay curious, and remember, sometimes a hug really is just a hug.